Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Julie with Bookshelf by Julie. So today is the next in our Beginner Basics series. Simple way to make a file folder journal. Base. Not the whole journal. Okay. It takes a little bit, more than a little bitty video to do a whole journal. But to make your base, and that's where a lot of people have trouble getting started, is just getting started. How do you make a base? Well, in the previous video, I did one with just envelopes. Okay? Super simple and easy. This time I'm going to use a file folder, and I'm going to use some envelopes to show you how to put the flaps in, which is really, really simple. Okay? This is super simple. These whole series are really simple. Just a way for somebody who doesn't know how to get their foot in the door and start making these things, right? Now, the first step that I do, you don't really have to do. You can leave those on. I'm going to cut the top off of my file folder right at this little point here, because then it all is the same size, and that's the shortest part of the file folder. So that's the only reason I'm doing this way, okay? So I'm just going to slice that right off and get it out of the way. So that was pretty easy, right? So that leaves us with just this. Now you can leave those on. That's perfectly all right, and a lot of people do. But then you're going to have to work with your matting because you have some things that are shorter and some things that are taller, and that's not really what I wanted to do for beginner stuff, okay? This is just simply this. Cut that off. You're all even, and that's where you go. Okay, so the next part is we're going to score. Now, if you don't have a scoreboard, just measure, because we're going to measure 5 1/4 inches in and 5 1/4 inches in from both sides. Once you do that, that makes your spine, okay? So let's go to there. Now, if you don't have a scoreboard, just measure in and fold, or use the whatever instrument you might have laying around. I'm going to use a bone folder, but you don't have to have one of these either. You can use a pen that doesn't have its writing part poked out. You can use a butter knife. You can use a lot of different things, just so you've got a blunt end that you can, sort of make a mark. And a ruler, I suppose. You'd have to have something to keep you straight. So, but I do have a scoreboard, so I'm going to go ahead and use that, because it would take a long time for me to go and hunt up everything else. So I use my scoreboard differently than other people, but I always use it sideways. It's just easier for me. I don't know why, it just is. So I'm going to go to 5 1/4, and then I'm going to turn it around and do 5 1/4. Now, I didn't cut any off of the part of this. This is left completely just file folder length, okay? So once we do that, we can turn it over and do the other side if we so wished, but it scores right through really well. So a scoreboard isn't too... You can get some cheap ones. You don't have to get the expensive anything, or just do it like I said. Use a ruler and a blunt instrument. But this one I got for fairly cheap. It's one of the... What is it? It's a Berea. It's just a cheapie, okay? But it really is handy. I got it so that I could, if I so chose, I could do 12 by 12 pieces. You can get the smaller ones. They're fine. It's just me, what I did. So we're going to fold this over to make our fold lines. Fold this over to make our fold lines. So we've got that. How cool is that? Now remember, this is a file folder, so you're going through two sides, okay? All right. So this is going to be our spine, which is an 1.5 inches and an inch and an eighth, just barely over an inch, which is fine. We don't get too precise on these things and get all silly about it. But what we do, now that we've got this, we're going to have to put our spine together, okay? So let me stop and tell you these things. There are options here. If you want to leave one of these sides so that you can close it and leave a big pocket here, you can do that. I'm not going to do that in this video. I'm going to open up the bottom right along here on both sides all the way up to the spine, but I'm not going to open the spine, okay? I'm going to leave that together because that's going to help guide me back in, okay? So that's what we've got. Pretty simple and easy. We're not doing anything complicated, okay? So we're going to open this up and we're going to cut right on that fold. Right on that fold, as straight-ish as possible. It's not rocket science. You don't have to be, you know, having any kind of anxiety over this. Just as straight-ish as possible. And get to this point here and stop. Okay? Alright. And then we do the same thing on the other side. Stay on that as much as possible on that fold line. Just cut right down the center of it. Okay? You know, just as best you can. Just cut that open and right up to the spine. And there you go. Now, the reason I did that is that makes our pages to add our flaps onto and stuff like that, right? Okay. Now we're going to do my little tricky thing here. It's not really a trick. I mean, it's what I do to close things up or to put things on things and such, you know. It's one of those. If I can get my tape to start. I like to use the double stick tape. You don't have to. You can just simply glue this. I like to use the double stick tape because it gives me extra security, okay? So I'm just going to put it there. Not over any fold line. Where's my fold line? Yep. Not over any fold line, okay? Excuse me. And then, that's simple. Excuse me. So, we've got that. And we're going to press it down so that we don't have the tape not sticking anywhere. If you press it down, double stick tape is your friend. If you don't press it down, it might not be sticking really good to the bottom and you pull this off and it just makes a mess. So it's best to give it a good pressing. Then we're going to do this number. And get my glue. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to glue. And if you didn't do the double stick tape, that's fine. You just glue it like I'm gluing it. You want all your edges right up to the fold, but not over the fold. Okay? Another thing that I like to do when you put that double stick tape down, it gives you some extra strength to your adhesion, all right, to sticking this down. And also, when you put the glue on the double stick tape, it doesn't dry quite as quickly as it does, you know, at other times. So, there. Now we've got this. Like so. And like I said, that middle part that you leave together down here, that helps you guide right in to getting your spine even and straight and all that. Okay? So, yeah, there you go. We've got a cute little base for a cute little journal. From here, you build whatever you want. You can, now look, you have to think these things ahead, all right? If you're going to put a hole and an eyelet here for a closure on the front and the back, don't put a flap on your very front page, because if you do that, your flap is going to get in the way of your tying your closure in. Okay, that's just somebody who's been there and done that and got the t-shirt for it. Advice. When we first start out, we don't really think of everything that somebody who's been doing this for a really long time thinks of, because we haven't been doing it for a long time, huh? So anyways, giving these things a good press down. Now, like I said, you don't have to have a bone folder. I would get one of these. This is a thing that it's not very expensive, but it's so handy. And get a good one. Don't get those little plasticky. I've got a, 1 minute. This thing here, that's about useless. Number one, it's too thick at the point. And that's just, you know, it doesn't work as good as this one's real bone. Okay, sorry for all the, you know, people who don't like that. But this is real bone, and it's down to a point, and it's pretty narrow and thin down there, and it's really good quality. They're still cheap, super cheap. These are so handy. Now, some people use their scissor handles and different things like that. I've seen Shabby Dabby Doodah do that a lot. I use the Tim Holtz scissors, and you really wouldn't want to use them for, because they're not, they're good for cushioned, for using, you know, you can't really press, you can't press good with them, is what I'm trying to say. So, there's our base. Now, I was going to show you how to put a flap or two in there, right? I'm not going to put it on this one because I don't know how I'm going to really use this particular base. I'm going to put it in my stash for later. So this would be where I would put my signature. So I really don't want to put a whole lot of bulk on this side right now. So I'm going to put this one on here. Like so. Ooh, this is a little long. Well, that's okay. Because you always want to cut the end open to make a pocket anyways. So that's all right. Oh, hold on. I get a smaller envelope. That'll work. Just trying to keep it simple. Hold on a second. Okay, now I'm back with smaller envelopes. Envelopes are really cool in that they come in all different sizes, right? They really do. So let's use the little envelope here, and we'll make us a little flap, a hinged flap that will open up. And, you know, I'm just doing the base, so matting comes later. I'm going to go through all the different bases that I think are pretty simple enough for a beginner, and then we'll go on to doing some matting and some, you know, making this and that to go in the sewing in a signature and things like that. But for right now, we're doing this. So, where'd my glue go? Okay. You want a little bit of something flopping out or flipping out or whatever, because that gives more interest to your journal, right? So I'm just going to do along this, where you would usually moisten it to stick it together. So yeah, just along there and a little bit in here is fine. So we want to do like to the fold, lay it down, and then just push it up there and then fold it over, and you know you've got it. Yeah, pretty simple. And so when you start matting, you're going to mat over this, okay? That won't show in your final end result, all right? And you'll mat over this, and you'll cut your edge off so that opens up to a pocket. So you won't put any glue or any adhesive here, because you don't want to close up your pocket that you're building, right? Okay, unless you don't want it to be a pocket. Now you can put them together and not make big pockets. I like the pockets. So, all right, so we're going to put this one this way. And I'll show you, just by doing two, you'll see what I'm talking about. How to line them up, how to put them on there. It's really fun and easy, and the more you practice, the better you get at it. And when you're not doing it on camera, it's so much easier. Yeah, so just saying. Okay, we're going to get some, just for the heck of it, glue in there. Now we've got one on here, right? So what we want to do is try to line this up with that one so that we have a little bit of, you see how you can do that? Just put it on there and press it down. Now your flaps are in the same place. Now you don't have to do that. You can put them up, down, whatever way you want to do. I'm just showing you some simple things for beginning, okay? Then you've got your flap place for your signature, because you want a big bulky signature, right? That's what we do. Okay, so there you go. You think, oh, well, we've got a good base. We're not done yet. Because to do this and to put a signature, look, file folder is thicker than usual paper, normal paper, but you've got to put something to make your spine strong enough to hold it when it's moving around and, turning the pages and all these things, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to use some fabric. Now I picked a neutral for this because I don't know what theme I'm going to use this particular base for, so I'm just going to go all neutrally. If you've got a theme when you start your journal that you want to use this particular kind of base or whatever base, then pick your fabric to match whatever color theme you're going with. Yeah, so just me, I'm going to put this in my stash for later because I don't know what journal I'm going to make with it, but it's going to be darn cute. Okay, here we go. We're going to take it, gosh, we're going to overlap it a little bit here, okay? Now, people use a lot of different things for this. You can use fabric tape is really good. You can use Tyvek. People use that. That's, as I said before, that's expensive, and I don't really get into using that because it is expensive, and I don't want to put that kind of expense into this when I can do some really nice fabric and it looks good and it's really strong and it works just fine, right? Okay, so that's the way I go anyways. So there you go. All right, we've got that part. Now you saw me take my finger and run down that glue. If you don't do that, it leaves what we call glue lines. So you have streaks that will always look wet on here. You don't want that. That's just not pretty. You'd have to cover it up with something. So yeah, just take it a little at a time. You don't want to get in too big of a hurry with things like this. You want to just think it through. I know a lot of people say, well, I just used whatever was on my desk and threw it together and stuff. And that's okay. That works for some people. But especially when you're first starting out, just take your time and think it through and plan it out, because that just is going to help you so much when you're just starting out and you want to make a journal and you want it to come out really awesome, right? So plan it out and do all these little steps that make it nice and pretty and good quality, right? You don't want it to be lacking in, just fall apart on you. You don't want that. So, yeah. And when you're doing this, make sure you just smooth that fabric down it will smooth down pretty flat and look really nice. So yeah, just have that really good. It's going to take it a couple minutes to dry. So give it its time. You don't have to be in a hurry. Give it its time to dry. And then you're going to take what you've got there and trim it off. So let's do that part. Excuse me. Okay, we're going to just trim that. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm going to get so close till, you know. You can just do it just a little beyond, and that's fine. Right? So you have that, and if that frays, that's just all the better. That's cool, right? Okay, so you do that. Oh, you get those little twiggies off. Or I have to, it's a thing. And then you got this one that you need to trim off. And there you are. That is ready to build a journal. And that really does strengthen it, guys. It really does. So now you can put as many flips and flaps. Look, you can use these. This is too big, but you can use these to make more flaps onto as you're going through building this journal. And we'll go into that when I start another video on doing the insides, building the insides. Because you can build on top of this, put another one, put another one. I mean, you can build them all up all over the place, right? For this one, I'm not going to put any flaps onto this particular one, because if I do decide in future to put a hole and an eyelet, the flap would be in the way. I'm leaving all my options open with this little journal. So there you go. Give it time to get into its new life and its new station, you know, here. All right, what it is, now remember I did trim off the top because, you know, it's 7 3/4 tall, and it is 5, if I can get my ruler and I just want to measure this part. It is 5 1/4 on the width, like that. And the spine is just barely over an inch. Okay? So that is a good size for a little journal, especially a little beginner journal. Okay? Isn't that cute? And the more you do to it, the more you build it up, oh my gosh, they just become something magical. Or they do to me, okay? So, super simple and super easy for a beginner. If you want to do one of these interactive journals like you see other people doing, and you just don't know how to start, this is one option. The envelope option is in the video that I'll link at the end. And the next video is going to be on putting chipboard together to make a base. And you can use any kind of chipboard. I'm going to use some thin and put it together. And anyways, you can use stuff like a cereal box if you want. So here you go. One more little flip through. That's super cool. This is our front with our flap. Yep. And our spine is in here. We've got this one with the flap, and then this is our back. That is super awesome and cute. How much easier can it get, right? Okay, you guys have fun with this. Oh, and remember, if you make a comment down below, if you have a question, go ahead and ask that. But if you make a comment, you're automatically entered into the drawing for the digital journal kit giveaway. I'm going to do 4 different draws, 4 different journal kits that'll be given away over the next little while, because I'm trying to get up to 700 on my subscribers. I'll do a draw then. Up to 800, I'll do a draw then. Up to 900, I'll do a draw then. Up to 1,000, I do another draw. So that's 4 journal kits, and you can pick any of them, and I'll send you the files if you win. So yeah, just say hi, if nothing else. That gets you in the drawing, okay? All right. You guys take care. Please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. TTFN.